Welcome, bienvenue, bonjour, bonsoir à tous. Welcome to this week's Wada Forum. And this week we're having a fun twist on the Wada Forum. This is actually our launch to the Road to Nairobi Cardano Africa Tech Summit community driven hackathon. So thank you all for being here. It's going to be a big event today. I'm really excited. We have joined with us, we have, of course, the WADA team, but we also have the Prisma team who we're collaborating with on this hackathon. Thank you, Tabs and Delphi, for joining us today. So, quick overview, what will we be doing today? We will start in Wada Forum style with our opening and some quick community updates. And then we will hand over to the Prisma team to lead us through the Africa Tech Summit Hackathon launch. Woo! And then, of course, we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A. So let's get started. As always, resources. Here's our knowledge base. We changed it into a QR code so people can just scan it. There's the link to some of the different knowledge base resources that we share for anyone who wants to do some light reading or heavy reading outside of these calls. And just a reminder of our map and WADA's local footprint on the ground in Africa. All right, here I think I'm going to call up Mercy to kick us off for such an important event with our statement of purpose.
So for our statement of purpose, we need to remember what gets us up in the morning and what keeps us going. And it is to elevate underrepresented groups through the application of technology, because we know that is where the leapfrog effect could come from, especially when we look at Africa and, all that needs to be done over there. And for today, especially, our mission statement is very, very relevant because we want to create a sort of a more equitable future. We're hoping that through these hackathons, that is what is going to happen. And we are very blessed to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, and along those lines, in terms of accessibility of information, we also have our French. Alors pour nos francophones parmi nous, notre mission est élever les groupes sous-représentés grâce à l'application de la technologie et investir dans un avenir plus équitable. All right, moving on. So we're gonna breeze through a couple of the updates. Let's go back. I think we skipped a bit. Or is this the first? Oh, no, forwards. Sorry. All right, Cardano updates. Nana Savo, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. I will do that. I'm glad you do that. All right. So as you all may be aware, we are obviously in the alt season, and there's a lot of airdrops that have been going on, but the mega one that we have all been waiting for, which is the glacier drops, which is the midnight drops, actually is still happening, and it was supposed to elapse in 2 days' time, but they're listening to the community, and right now there is an extension until October 20th. So if you are here and you have still not worked on your glacier drop, this is just a reminder for you to go back and then claim your drops so that you don't lose out on this beautiful opportunity to also have some dust tokens and midnight tokens, because the future is always bright with Cardano, as we always say. So that is that for midnight. Just look out for it. You can just visit their official Twitter platform, which is Midnight Network, and then just find more information from there. But you can also scan this QR code if you want to read further in terms of how to claim your tokens. Just scan and then do that. And then we'll go into the next bit, which has to do with Catalyst update. As we are also aware, Catalyst update, Catalyst Fund 14 is still up and running, and we are currently in the voting phase. And as you may be aware, voting as commenced is going to close by 6th October. So if you are here and you have not selected proposals that you want to support for Fund 14, please do what to do so. And as you do so, obviously, WADA, we have a proposal in there, which is to support this very initiative that we are doing, and it is called the Beyond the Chain. So once you get there, just search for Beyond the Chain, and you will find our proposal. Please do what to support us, and let's have wonderful sessions after this one, in Wada Forum. And of course, you can scan the QR code to also read more about the voting timelines and also other timelines that are relevant to Catalyst Fund 14. Next slide, Edufo. And yay! So we did have an election phase recently, and we came here as WADA community to plead on your behalf to support our very own Mercy for that race. And of course, you did listen to us, and you gave her the chance, you gave her the seat. So yes, of course, the Intersect Board elections, I'm saying, has come to an end, and the winners, of course, have been announced. And we know that Adam Rush and also Kavenda and Rand of Rare Evil, together with Mercy, were elected to actually be on the seat. So heading forward, you're going to find great African representation in the Intersect Board, and count on Mercy to bring us the best, of course, as far as progress is concerned and development is concerned. So yeah, so to whoever voted for Mercy, we say thank you. Thank you very much. And obviously, I'm going to present you another list of people because the Intersect Committee voting is also open, and it is currently accepting candidacy. So if you are here and you're interested, next slide, please. If you are here and you're interested in joining the Intersect committees, either the Service Committee, the Budget Committee, the Product Committee, whichever committee you think you can actually work with, please feel free and do well to scan this QR code to read more about it, and also put in your application. And then once the applications are done collecting, which will be ending around October 14th, we will, of course, come up with a compilation and share with you, our community, to support those individuals so that we can get more seats as African representation on there as well. And mind you that voting is going to open on October 16th, and it will be closing on October 29th. So like I said, if you have interest, please do well to submit your candidacy. And the committees that are open are actually Product Committee, Intersect Steering Committee, Growth and Marketing Committee, Budget Committee, Service Committee, Technical Steering Committee, Open Source Committee, and Membership and Community Committee. So please do well to check it out and submit your applications via your Intersect dashboard. That is, if you're a member. If you're not yet a member, please do well to pay and or subscribe and then become a member so that you can also participate in this election phase. But until then, we say thank you very much for joining us once again, and I will leave it with you, Megan, to continue.
All right. Excellent updates. Now with our, headliner content for today. So first I want to introduce up to the stage Mercy and Darlington to give us a bit of a background on, what is CATS, what's happening. Let's set the stage.
Okay, I think I'm going to go right into it. Megan will be moderating this aspect right up to the end. But for this section, I'm doing it with Darlington. We all know Darlington, or maybe we should call him Lido. He's just doing amazing work on the ground in Nairobi, in Kenya, and he will, he will be bringing up some updates. Maybe today will be a bit briefer than subsequently, because there's still a lot of planning going on, especially when it comes to the actual summit, which is happening on 11th to the 13th of February 2026. But today we want to focus a lot more on all that leading up to the summit. So let's go to the next slide. So when we look at this, this is the Cardano Summit. And when you look at this, you will see where I'm going with this. In 2022, the summit was held not anywhere in Africa. In 2023, in Dubai. In 2024, also in Dubai. Last year, WADA and Catalyst Africa Town Hall, we came together and we decided to do a push to bring the summits. In fact, we were we were dreaming big. We wanted to bring the whole big summit to Africa. What that did, as they say, aim for the stars, right? But what that did was that we managed to convince the community to at least, bring some portions of the hackathons to different regional areas. So for this year, 2025, it's in Africa, in LATAM, in Asia. The North America one has already happened. And what is happening for us is that even though it's for this year, what we decided to do was that we were going to move it to 2026. In February, alongside the Africa Tech Summit, we'll be bringing you more details about that. Let's go to the next slide. So why the Cardano Summit? For many years now, I think since about 2020, I think that was the one that was done by IO. There has been every year there has been a summit. It was subsequently taken over by the Cardano Foundation, and really it has been to drive blockchain adoption, to promote education and innovation, advance infrastructure, engage the global ecosystem, and also foster governance discussions. These summits are really interesting. I've been to, I think, 2 or 3 of them. And the kind of discussions and the networking that happens there, it always broke my heart that we didn't have more of the African community, and sometimes some of the South and Southeast Asian communities over there. So that was one of the reasons why we sort of started the lobby to get these summits at a very serious level in regions outside of, say, Europe and North America. So that's pretty much the same thing that we're going to do in most of these regional spaces. Let's go to the next slide. So as we know, the Cardano Foundation, they really have a proven delivery. At the time that we're trying to push for a sort of a more quote-unquote decentralized summit, one of the things that the community said very clearly that, you know what, we can be happy to support sort of a more regionalized summit, but we really want it to have the level of quality that the foundation has brought to these summits. So right now, even though Emergo is part of these decentralized summits, where Evo, Wada, and Ida Solar, it still has a very strong sort of Cardano Foundation support and sort of organization. Next slide, please. So, I just wanted to highlight this, why Wada was chosen, in addition to the advocacy that we did with Catalyst Africa Town Hall. Wada has been around, 5 years now, since 2020, and we have been sort of pushing and doing a lot of stuff throughout the continent, and, we were a very easy choice. Next slide. So last year, this is some of what we did with Catalyst Africa Town Hall in terms of looking at some of our potential venues. We looked at about 6 countries, and ultimately we settled on Kenya. Next slide. So these are some of the metrics that we're looking at. Most of these are sort of the same, with the exception of, so we don't have the Berlin one on this slide, but the Berlin one is sort of double almost these metrics. But for Africa, we are looking at a total of about 500 participants. The main thing, if you can, the way that we are doing these sub-regional hackathons, as we call them, is a very strong developer focus. So that is why we are paying a lot of attention to these hackathons leading up to the summit. So, as you can see, these are sort of our metrics. As time goes on, we'll bring you more details with that. Next slide, please. And a little bit of background, as I said, in terms of focusing on developers, and why are we focusing on developers is so that we can get more and more people in Africa building on Cardano, increase transactions, make the chain sustainable. In 2015, this is what sort of how the spread looked like. There was a lot more developers in North America and in Europe. But looking at 2024, that trend is changing dramatically. There is a lot of activity happening in Asia, in South America, LATAM, and also in Africa. So that's one of the reasons why we're trying to sort of leverage that, bring in more people to build on Cardano. Next slide. Yeah, and just wanted to quickly highlight this, that when you look at Africa, that's the fourth line, you can see that a lot of the building happening is in Ethereum, in Solana, and in ICP. What we are hoping going forward is that these summits will be a year-on-year activity. And what that means is that we will be very, very intentional in terms of bringing in developers. They keep building, we keep supporting them, we keep bringing them in. In the past, as we know, we have tried to do that. Other entities like Lido Nation have tried to do that. Catalyst Africa Town Hall, a lot of individuals all over Africa, the Cameroon Hub, Wada Hub, in other places, we've all tried to sort of, ramp up the developer build. But the issue has been with the Catalyst funding, whereby, one round you get the funding to do it, and then the next round you might not. So sort of sometimes your gains actually reverses. We are hoping that with these summits, it will be more of a, build on and on sort of retention. And there's a very strong retention aspect of these hackathons leading up to our summit. And we will tell you more about that shortly. Next slide. Yeah, so this is where I hand over to our Darlington. Kenya is an amazing place. You all will really enjoy being there. For those of you that haven't been there, I enjoyed many, many weeks there over the past couple of months. And let's hear from Darlington. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Massey. Yes, looking forward to having everybody here, showing people a little bit of East African hospitality, but then really just creating an environment where you can actually, for the Mercy said, more details will be coming. But for the partnership we have with the ATS, where you can actually get to show your ideas to people, not just within Cardano, but within the enterprise space and normies. Those people are always trying to find and bring in the crypto. So we're looking forward to that, and the people who will, those promising ideas that will make it to the Kenya floor, and then hopefully by the time you leave Kenya, you've had an opportunity to make a connection, enter a new market, maybe get a mentorship on taking your idea to the next level, but then also having fun, right? Like, Kenyans are known for their hospitality. I think Kenyans like to call themselves the home of Africa, or what's the thing? It's one of the few places where if you're a refugee, you can come and you don't need a visa. You can just show up, and they will let you in. So the hospitality is huge here. And we're looking forward to showing that to Cardano and our African brethren and the rest of the world. Is there another slide after this? I'm not sure how much of the tea should I spill. The venue is beautiful. You're going to not be stuck in a stuffy hotel. You're going to have a chance. I don't know if you see a lion, but you're going to be eating breakfast not too far from one. But I don't think they're going to come anywhere close to you. So you're good there. Next slide. So I already mentioned there's 2 days with Africa Tech Summit collaboration. The CF will be there. We will have a big takeover space, lots of opportunity to get some recordings of your products and projects. And then we'll have a big Cardano day to ourselves and a big Cardano party. Because if you ever been to Kenya, for those of you who participated in constitutional conventions, I never failed to have a good party. So you can expect some of that too after all the hard work. You don't believe me? You can ask Mubarak.
And
Next
echo.
slide. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, those are just some tasters. This is a tasting party. The more details will be coming later.
Yeah, so pretty much at a very high level, and thank you very much for that, Darlington. These are the dates that we are looking at. So from October 2nd from October 2nd to December 15th, that is when that's our hackathon concentration. In January, we are trying to get our winning teams, or should I say winning projects, over to Nairobi from February 1st to the 10th of 2026. Within that time frame, we're going to have the winning teams that go over to Nairobi. We're going to have a hackathon. As Darlington mentioned, there will be some space within the Africa Tech Summit for some hackathon showcase, as well as during the Cardano day. So let's bear that in mind. More information coming, and then the 11th to the 13th, that's the big summit itself. And then from March to August, as I said, we will just keep supporting these projects so that we can retain the builders that we will be pulling in. We are just giving a shouting out at this point to projects in Cardano that want to partner with us, that are looking for builders to train. Please reach out. We'll be reaching out to you. Thank you very much. Next slide, and then we'll hand it back to Megan.
Awesome. Well, now that we've sort of set the stage for, all the exciting things coming up, let's lean in a bit to the hackathon part. And we're really excited, as I mentioned earlier, to be collaborating with the Prisma team on this today. So now I'd like to invite them up for some more details about the hackathon. And I think we're on the next slide, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so hi everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to get to know you all a bit better in the following months. And I will tell you a bit now about this hackathon process that's ahead. The purpose of this is to really lift up as much energy as possible from the work happening on the ground, to have the most impactful showcases that we can have at the summit in February. And to do that, we've designed a whole process which would be working with several different hubs across various countries to form cohorts, a total of 16 hackathon cohorts we're aiming for, in which we expect to form over 100 teams. Through this process, the teams will be learning how to work with systems. And so I'll tell you a little bit about that process step by step now. Next slide, please. What I can guarantee is that by engaging with this process, you will be exploring your communities, observing them with fresh perspective, and really finding how best to intervene with an intervention that can unlock new capabilities and make a contribution to healthy communities, healthy systems. On the screen now, you see a time frame that leads from where we are today up until the end of the hackathon phase in the middle of December. We are currently in this phase of the taster calls, or the amuse-bouche for the French-speaking audience among us. This is just to give you a little insight into what's ahead. And at the end of this phase, we'll be selecting the hubs, which will be moving forwards into the next phases. It's also the phase in which everyone needs to sign up. It's very important that people sign up before the start of the enrollment process. So the tickets actually close. Actually, I think they close at the end of the enrollment process. So they close on November the 1st. And it's really important that you try to sign up before the enrollment process, even by October the 16th. Aim for next Friday. Try to refer all of your friends who you'd like to be in this process with you to join. Because through the enrollment process, we'll be learning how to engage with systems. We'll be learning about some of the fundamental concepts that we'll be introducing to help you do that work. And really preparing both the hubs and the participants for the most effective hackathons that's to come. So we'll now detail a little bit about each phase. Next slide, please. So yeah, like I say, step one is to sign up. Reach out to all of your community members that inspire you, that are doing great community organizing work. Any developers that you know are like technical wizards and can hack something together, that to hack a prototype together. Any artists that can communicate the character of the work, can work with people and bringing forwards the more creative side of things. Researchers, engineers, farmers, the list goes on. It's very holistic, and developers are an absolutely important part of that. We're aiming for 40% representation of developers in each team, but there's other roles, other capacities as well. So please refer as much as possible. I think we have visibility of referrals, and we might take note of that favorably. Next up is the enrollment calls, which is happening from 20th of October. Actually, it's the 16th of October to the end of October on the 30th, I believe is the last one, or the 31st. It's basically every Thursday from the October the 16th for 3 weeks. Those calls are very important. Delphina, who's in the room with us today, is a social and emotional learning specialist, and she's absolutely one of the best in her field. She's a published academic, and she has lots of hands-on experience working with communities. She worked with over 2,000 schools in Argentina. I can celebrate her all day, but that's to say that you're in good hands, and there's a lot of design work that has gone into this process to give you the most chance of participating as effectively as you can do and getting the most out of this process for you and your communities as well. Next slide, please. After the enrollment, where you're introduced to what is regeneration, what's all this about, what are these alternative hackathons that we're learning about, we enter into the hackathon phase from the start of November. And that is a long arc of 6 weeks with lots of learning that culminates in hackathons at the end of that arc. And we have kind of a range of numbers for how many hubs might be signing up and how many hackathons each hub would have to run. But basically, if you are part of a team by this stage, you will definitely be in a hackathon, and there might be more than one hackathon happening per hub. But the aim is to support you in forming your teams and working on prototypes to make an intervention into your systems of your place, into your communities. And there will be Cardano training involved, which our friend Darlington is going to be providing. And by the end of it, we're aiming for over 100 teams. Those teams will then be selected for the kind of shortlist that will be moved on to the summit in February. Next slide, please. Right before the summit, to really build the energies, we're doing an in-person intensive. And this will be happening in Nairobi in the days literally prior to the summit. And this is a very holistic event. You'll be learning how to do decentralized organizing, leveraging frameworks like sociocracy. Is action oriented, so you'll be going out into communities, gathering data, iterating your prototypes, and really deepening your inquiry. Yes, lots of working with patterns and unlocking capabilities and systems. And yeah, we're very excited for this part in particular. It's very high energy, very emergent. And it's a great way to kind of lead up to the summit itself. Next slide, please. And that's basically how we're going to channel all of these energies from the ground up into the summit to make the most impactful showcases possible, really showing Cardano and the rest of the world the brilliant talent and work that is going on the ground across Africa. I think that's the last slide. You can check. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, Tabs, thanks so much for that overview. I see some questions popping up in the chat. Just to remind everyone, we'll go kind of through all the content and then we'll have more of an open Q&A at the end of our session. But now I wanted to invite up kind of a testimonial case here of someone who has gone through a Prisma hackathon before. And who's here to present on this?
So last week we did hear a little taster of what Echo has to say, but today it's a bit more detailed and a bit more planned. So over to you, Echo. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
All right. Hello. Good evening from Ghana. Am I audible?
You had a little break, but keep talking. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. It's been raining at my end since like yesterday, so the network has been. I would have loved to share my screen, my video too, but unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. So I'm here to talk about my action. I'm here to talk about my action learning journey experience. So I term it from problem discovery to building real world solutions too. So I came across the Wada Prisma action learning journey, I think on social media, and I decided to join in with it too. Please, next slide. All right. No, can you come back a bit? No, there's a part that's to do with like. So yeah, I'll be taking you through why I continued to the end after joining, because majority started with us. A few of them had to, a few of them were unable to complete with us. Secondly, I'll be talking about discovering the real problem, building teams and solution, impact and growth, and lastly, key reflections and next steps. Next slide. So when I came across this, so personally, I don't have much of a technical background, though I have a training in biomedical engineering. I still wasn't able to learn on the development side, but I happen to be a tech enthusiast and I was eager to expand beyond my comfort zone and tackle real world challenges through structured innovation. Initially, when I saw the hackathon, I thought it was just one of the usual hackathons I've been attending. That is, they just more or less like come in, code for like 1 week or 1 weekend, then the event will be followed with like some pizza, then the winners of the hackathon will just take their prizes and we all go back home. But the reality actually changed. The first day I stepped in the hub by Accra Resource Center in Accra, and I discovered that there was actually more to it, and the learning experience was more comprehensive, and it focused more on a problem-solving methodology too. Fortunately for me, I was able to also discover my part in tech too. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the experience was just beyond the classroom setting, the regular hackathons we've been having. Fortunately for us, we had the opportunity to visit Dream Village. It's one of the technological hubs in Ghana where they more or less like break the whole technology down to a level where the normal or a regular individual can actually really understand it too. And the second picture beneath this is how our placement in the hub was. So initially when we entered, it looked as if it was like a normal classroom setting, but during our morning sessions, we're given like the opportunity to be very creative about how we want to really make the day go to. So I think one of them suggested that we didn't want the whole class or the whole room with like tables and chairs. We just wanted to like sit down as like friends and have like a vibe to it too, rather than it be strictly or the boring classroom too. And lastly too, we had the opportunity to go out. I think when we were done with the whole hackathon, unfortunately it coincided with the Champions League, so all of us went to the beach to go and watch the football match. And further on, we built like the whole connections and family. As at now, I'm in touch with literally all of them too. Next slide. So the work that changed everything. So I would like to iterate this that more than often in my work with developers, I've noticed one thing, that most of them intuitively create problems in their mind and then find a solution to these problems they create in their mind. And I believe this action learning journey then actually taught me something bigger, that more than often these problems you have are just in your head. But if you go out there into the community, you would definitely be able to identify problems your community really needs to. And that's what happened. So during the action learning journey, we were encouraged to go out in our community and check out whether we can notice certain problems, we can identify it. And fortunately, when I went out, I identified two problems. One was on waste management and the other was on traffic congestion. But with the traffic congestion, I was able to resonate so much with it because I've been a worker before and I know the hassle that is involved in finding a car during rush hours in the morning and also after work going back home. So most of the time you end up like wasting your productive times in the mornings finding the bus, like having to argue with people, or like sometimes you have to fight with people to get these buses. So, and it also contributed to like the whole traffic congestion when you enter these buses too. Then I also ride hailing apps when I finish my witness this whole problem from the perspective of a driver, not just like a rider or a worker too. So I was so passionate about this particular problem. So fast forward, when we went the following day, I was very happy and excited to like now go on it. But the issue was that I had to find a team to work on. To next slide. So the first was that I had to pitch my idea to potentials, or pitch the potentials to these people. The reason we call it potential is not that, it's just that out of every problem, we know that there's going to be a solution. So we're not just calling them problems, but potential that we, at the end of the day or at the end of the action learning journey, we'll be able to solve each and every one of them too. So I shared this transportation potential with my colleagues. I drew their attention to my national service story where I was a worker who had to be struggling to get right. At the same time, so I was like a driver who was now also involved in this thing. And fortunately for me, I got a team who was really interested in what I wanted to do or wanted to achieve at the end of the day. And these colleagues also resonated so much with my problem. And everyone had experiences to literally share. So more or less like we had a goal at the end of the day and we were motivated by one source. That is like to ensure that we eliminate problems like these for workers too. Then we further defined the theme for the project and trace out existing problems that contribute to the main issue. So more than often, whenever we come across a problem, we think that is like the major problem. But if you really dig deeper, so for instance, the traffic issue we had, when we dig deeper, we noticed that it wasn't just like a thing about the traffic. There were other like contributing factors. So, for instance, poor road networks, high usage of like private-owned vehicles by these workers. Additionally, to the local bus systems were not comfortable and they wasted a lot of time. Sometimes too, you realize that there are like the traffic signals are not working to regulate like how cars are supposed to be moving on the road too. So we were able to come up with a much stronger team and we identify each and every problem that was in there contributing to the bigger one. That is like the traffic congestion and stress involved in getting cars during like rush hour too. And mind you, I mentioned that developers as yourself have this intuition of creating problems in your head instead of going back to the community. So to eliminate that, we also came out with questionnaires and we shared it to close to 100 workers, to like from our family and friends who are working. We shared it to them and we got them to solve, and we were able to derive certain insights from this problem we wanted to solve, and also give us a further insight to how to go about solving the problem, so that it wouldn't be that at the end of the day we solve problems that does not even necessarily exist too. Next slide. So with the personal growth and team evolution, so this machine learning journey like was a game changer for me in the sense that I've worked on teams before and I've never enjoyed the whole idea of being a team leader. I've never enjoyed it because I felt like it was quite stressful. But my colleagues mentioned that because it's my idea, I should like just take it on and see how far I can go. The moderators were very, very encouraging. Because I remember after one of the class, Taps called me out and said I should just take up the role as a team lead, because when they asked for it, I didn't even want to get up to. But when I got up for that responsibility, it changed a lot. And because I was like very passionate about it, I was able to also lead my team to also like be very passionate or equally passionate about how I was it too. And as I mentioned, I don't have like a technical skill, but from conversations and activities we did as a team, we were able to like structure out certain roles we needed to achieve these goals too. So they were like, oh, I should try and take up this UI UX designing program too. I was like, okay, sure. I remember I did a very trashy work initially, but yeah, as time went on, I improved too. So I now know like the technical or the technical part I could rely on. That's the UI UX, and I've been taking it quite serious too. I learned that effective leadership means ensuring everyone contributes their unique strengths while maintaining team cohesion. With the personal growth or team evolution too, I realized that, so when we came together as a team through like getting feedbacks from the community and all, we further detailed the single roles or the individual roles that will contribute to the bigger picture. So for instance, in a project like ours, we wanted to create an app that would be used strictly by companies or workers of companies, and also the stakeholders, that's another stakeholders like bus or transport and providers too, so that people just pre-book these seats or these buses to avoid the stress involved in like getting buses right after work or coming to work too. So when we outlined the rules, we realized that we needed someone like a blockchain developer because we wanted to build on the Cardano ecosystem, the Cardano blockchain. We needed a software engineer, we needed a UI UX designer, we needed a community manager, and we needed an operations manager. So out of these five, per the strength of the team, we realized that we were lacking only a blockchain developer. So immediately we had to re-strategize, and we spoke to our moderator who also guided us and was able to onboard or recruit a blockchain developer to be as part of our team. So we were more or less like sorted. So with the strategic pivot, we identified these technical gaps early, onboarded a skilled developer to strengthen our capability to and the team dynamics. I'll say it again that not everyone you will start on this journey with will finish with you, and it is very okay. As a team, you would have to adapt to the composition based on commitment level and skill alignment. I got to a point myself, I had to be acting as both the UI UX designer and the community manager because like one of our members had to attend to an emergency for a while. So when that situation comes in, know that it's actually normal. It's part of the whole journey coming to the bigger picture. Next slide. So in completing the whole action, my team came out as the second place in the entire WADA Prisma program. We were actually the underdogs because all these other teams that were
Seems
had
like your internet
developers in there.
connection.
We had to go and get developers later on, and how we came out second, we were even surprised. But I believe that hard work and collaborative spirit was like the major contribution to becoming or the second of it. Additionally, we had a 100-day challenge after the entire. Better now.
It looks like we are losing echo a little bit, but I can quickly talk through these slides. As he's saying, overall, they were second when we did this in Accra. They actually went out into the community to add on some of the gaps that they had, as far as team dynamics go. They have kept working on their project, and they actually, an evidence of that is the fact that they have structured out a proposal which they have submitted in Farm 14. Echo, are you able to speak now?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. So I think, with the 100-day challenge, it was basically identifying gaps in our learning curve too. So for instance, I mentioned, I'm not technical and I had to take up the UI UX design. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to add it. So from day one, when I tried it out, to day 100, when I actually tried, I think I have a post on YouTube. I'll share it in here about a sample of what I did eventually. So it taught us that, like, being logged in, ensuring that you have your goals fixed, and also help you achieve your goals. So I mentioned I don't have any skill UI UX there, but sitting down learning with my team. People are also taking up roles in blockchain development. People are also taking up roles in software developers too. So at the end of the day, out of the 100-day challenge, our team extended, and we pushed our non-technical members to commit to learning new technical skills, expanding the collective capabilities. And additionally, I was even motivated to take the Cardano blockchain certified associate course, and I was, fortunately for me, I've been able to complete it. I took my examination about 2 weeks ago and I passed. So out of this action learning journey, I've been able to also be certified as a blockchain. Like, I've been able to find my purpose and put it that way in the tech field too. And lastly too, my team and I have been able to were confident enough to push or pitch for the Fan 14 Catalyst, which is currently ongoing. The voting phase is also, the name of the project is Urban Link. I would share that too right after the presentation too. So our momentum has led us to pitch for the project Catalyst Fan 14, taking our solution to the next level of blockchain innovation. So each and every one of us who are going to perform or participate in this, please, when you are done, they won't just leave you there. There are opportunities out there for you and your team to actually get on board, get some funding, and now make your solution to a reality. Next slide. So with the next slide, my key reflection was that technical skills are relevant, but they actually aren't everything. And I'm a proof of that. My team and I are a proof of that. Additionally, start with real problems. Avoid that intuitive tendency of creating problems in your head. Go to the community, speak to people, send out questionnaires, talk to your friends, talk to family. You come up with a very brilliant idea that this community actually needs. And mind you, one thing we want to also make Africa is that we just don't want to necessarily copy the white and implement because the realities out there and here are even different to all together. So go out to your community. The reality in Kenya is different from the reality in Ghana, the same as Nigeria. So go out, find a problem, and start working towards a solution to, and involve them to. So that will lead me to my third reflection, that always go back to the grassroots. As you are building, build with your community, build with your target audience. Don't just be indoors, code something and bring it out. Code with them, get their feedback on it. Let them test it. how do you want this to look like? Would you rather like it this way or that way too? Yeah. And fourthly, to impact and growth. Be totally involved in it. You don't know what will come out of it. Myself, I've built, aside just the impact of building the technical skills, I've built like lifetime connections of friendship. I think two of them are here, Celia and Abdul Rahman. We keep working on like the Cardano space or the blockchain space just to get better at it too. And lastly, to adaptability. Adaptability wins at the end of the day. People will back out. Things will not work as planned, but try and re-strategize and get to it too. So thank you very much, and I believe these are my reflections. And thank you, Wada, thank you, Prisma, once again for an opportunity like this.
All right, amazing. Thank you, Echo. Glad that your internet stability let you to finish that presentation. I think it was really great to hear a concrete example as we're going into launching another hackathon, seeing kind of a concrete example. Obviously there will be some differences in the actual implementation of the hackathon we'll be leading versus what you participated in, but I think a lot of those foundational components are really there in terms of how we are looking as WADA and Prisma to really support projects through from a very holistic standpoint. So I think you really emphasized that very well, and kind of the impact that we're hoping to get from it. That we're not looking for kind of flashy projects, but meaningful projects that will be meaningful on the ground. And it's really, heartwarming, I guess, to see how passionate you are about the work that you did. And obviously that was quite a process that you and your team went through. So just kind of for me, it's kind of instilling a lot of excitement for what's to come in this next round of projects as we open this up across the whole of Africa. So now we've kind of concluded the presentation materials. I see there have been starting to be some questions in the chat, but now I wanted to open up, more broadly to any questions if people wanted to come off mute or to put in the chat more specific targeted questions. And we'll spend, 15 minutes or so on this. All right, and I'll go first to Abdul Rahman. You have your hand raised. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Megan, for facilitating, and thanks to everyone that have presented. It was really interesting, and thanks to Echo. That was a very good insightful presentation, honestly speaking. Yeah, I think Echo's presentation has actually answered my first question in terms of technical development information and all of that. His presentation has actually answered my question on that part. And the other question is that, yeah, considering the idea of getting involved with a lot of people from the ground, from the grassroots, like connecting with a lot of people to participate in this program. So what does it look like if you are trying to bring in some other kind of, like, I understand that the networks, there is a responsibility to go out there and bring people on board and all of that. But what can we have a kind of a scenario where the hub can put some kind of level of partnership with some other tech communities, or like, I think I'm asking this question from my experience last 3 days that I reach out to like 3 group of tech community leads to get their people registered and all of that. So they are linked to us like, no, they don't want to just bring their community like that, but like make it some kind of official stuff and cases like that. So I'm asking, is there any kind of plans or programs that cater for that kind of situations? That's the first thing. The other one is, I read something conflicting in my own understanding. Initially, I understand that there will be 5 final winners for the program, but I saw again while I was reading the presentation, top 10 global showcase of products. So there be kind of a little bit of more elaboration on that?
All right, thanks. Thanks for your question. I think those are two very distinct questions. So let's focus on the first one. First, in regards to, I think, kind of the demographic of who is participating in teams, if I understood correctly. And I'm not sure, Tabs, if you wanted to give a first stab at it, or if you want me to, and then come in with corrections.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And thank you for that question, Abdul Rahman. The way that I'm understanding it at the moment, so I'll just reflect back to you my understanding, and you can let me know if you can sort of help me understand that a bit better, is you're asking, when it comes to engaging community leaders and other fellow community members, is there any kind of supporting material or sessions or program that we will be providing where it makes sense for them to come into that as kind of an introduction in the process? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Then I would say that one of these calls would be ideal if they're open to just kind of tuning in, and it's a space where they can also ask any questions they have. So all inputs are welcome at this stage. If you're thinking of more kind of higher stakes engagements like partnerships and potential funders, or maybe collaborations and NGOs, then I would say work with your hub, build the relationship with your hub. And the hub is, your local hub is really the platform from which you can develop those engagements. And then from our side, we'll be doing our best to surface as much information and material. There's a site that we're working on which is going to act as the knowledge base for this whole process. And you're welcome to reach out to any of the team at any stage to say, is there any more information on this? We'll do our best to then reflect that in the site as fast as possible. I hope that answered your question. Cool, thank you.
All right, and then maybe just to then pivot to the second question, which was about the prizes being offered. If you could refresh me, so you were essentially asking kind of what are the prizes? Is that fair?
No, that wasn't the today's question. Actually, I think we asked that the other time.
Oh, sorry.
But mostly people are actually interested in that as well. But I think you're still working on that, so I don't want to ask that today again. Yeah.
I think
okay. The second question was that. Sorry, I said initially what I understand is there will be finalists, like 5 finalists. But while I was doing the presentation, I saw a statement that said,
oh, okay, sorry. No, I do. Yeah, I recall your question. You were talking about 5 finalists, and then on the presentation, we had some other numbers. And I think Tab sort of alluded to this as he was presenting a bit subtly, but we have kind of a range for targets at this point. And that kind of speaks to the slide Mercy presented on our KPIs, et cetera. So, obviously at this phase, before we have, the final numbers of signups, we have targets of total numbers of projects, et cetera. So we're still working with kind of a range in terms of exactly the number of hackathons or the number of those like small in-person kind of leading up to a December submitted project. So that's maybe why some of the numbers weren't quite aligning, I think.
Okay.
But we are targeting kind of the top five for Kenya still.
Okay.
Before we go to Kate, and I'm going to hand over to you shortly, Megan, I just want to clarify some questions in the chat regarding the team size or the hub size. So there are 2 things that we are looking at here in terms of, as Eko was talking, I don't know if that came out clearly as an understanding, but the success of this whole hackathon process will be the fact that people are together in a place, let's say like Lagos, like Accra, like Maryland, like they are together in a place. So that would be a hub. That's what we are calling a hub. That's why we are really using the Wada Hub network and other communities. So it's a place thing. We are thinking that in terms of the hub that participates, there's almost, maybe at this point, I would say that there is no higher limit. So for instance, if in Lagos, 400 people sign up from a hub, I think that should, that is something that we would love. However, the teams that come out of that hub, that is something that we need to, still settle on in terms of, what number is an appropriate number to get into a team to build, right? And a lot of these things, because we are using regenerative principles, a lot of these things are going to be co-designing. So we are doing this with our hub leads. On Monday, we had a great session. I think Abdul has alluded to that, whereby we got some questions and suggestions from some of our hub leads. So there'll be a lot of that regenerative approach, and also that very emergent approach in terms of how the design looks like. But right now, I don't think that we should restrict ourselves too much. Let's get our communities in, let's form a hub, and then let's, attend next week's session where we'll be bringing a bit more information as well. And let's get ready for Nairobi. Over to you, Megan.
Yeah, no, I see a couple more hands up, so I think you answered the question. I won't belabor it further, but let's go over to Kit.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a question about, I think Mercy already spoke to it, that there's no definitive number yet about the team. So yeah, and Abdul asked the second question about, what's it called, the prices. So I wanted to ask again the third one. What about side events like the Africa Tech Summit, right? I imagine there is an African summit aside the whole hackathon, right? Are there going to be side events that are going to be like, I have gone through the thing, the documents there, but I don't know if they are going to be like other side events along, like maybe a governance side event, because I heard from a couple of people in the community, right, that are not even from Africa showing interest in coming. So I just wanted to know if there are going to be like other side events and all that, and what are the number of teams that are looking to get to that stage, to the summit stage at Nairobi.
Thanks so much for the question. Maybe we could go back several slides to the overview slide where we have kind of the flow, if that's not too hard. I think that would be good to illustrate, and then I could take a stab at answering it. I think while we're getting there, maybe just on a high level, there are obviously other summits other than ours, and there's a lot of things going on. Mentioned governance. There's a lot of things going on in the Cardano ecosystem right now regarding side events, etc. So I think separate from this, there are events. Is it possible to go back to the slide that has the kind of the flow where we have the phase we're in now, the enrollment phase, and the hackathons? I know it's like 20 something.
Yeah. Once we are going back to that, I'm going to add to, and I don't know if Darlington is here for him to also add, because what I'm hearing from Kate is about the 11th, 12th, and 13th, especially on the 13th. Definitely, there will be a lot of Cardano-focused stuff. There's going to be governance panels. There's going to be a lot of, like when you look at the average Cardano event, obviously it's not going to be exclusively Cardano because we want to, sort of bring people into our ecosystem, but that is something that we are working on as well. Over to you, Megan. So I don't know if that's what you mean by side events, but what I can say now, Kate, is that it's going to be mega exciting. So just, for now, just take that and then we'll bring you more details.
All right, so maybe keeping on this page is relevant as well. So kind of the now through December 15th, it's going to be a series of these type of events where we're all tuning into Zoom, getting the information together, having kind of this virtual space. Then starting in November is when we're breaking off into more localized kind of quote unquote hackathons where we'll have an opportunity for teams to come together and really do that learning and building together. And we'll talk more as we get to it about exactly what that is going to look like from the local perspective. So I think that probably speaks more to what you're thinking about with side events, where we're hoping to have multiple locations that are gathering some kind of in-person capacity to be able to work together to deliver the projects by that mid-December date. So in terms of kind of the hackathon phase, there's that. And then, January is kind of the prep, and then February leads into this, I don't know if we're calling it side event, but event in Nairobi. And then February 11th and 12th, there is an African Tech Summit, which we are partnering on, where we will have a small area, kind of booth style area, I believe, where the projects can be showcased. There will be other Cardano projects there as well. And then the February 13th event is really the WADA, Cardano Africa Tech Summit standalone event, where that will be all us putting together. And there will be a more prominent way of actually showcasing the projects. And then kind of going home from that, we hope to send teams home with kind of a care package, not only of all the knowledge, kind of they've gotten from this like incubator intensive in Nairobi, as well as the exposure at the Tech Summit and then the Cardano Tech Summit, but also hopefully some, ADA prizes to go home with and continue development. So just for kind of that big picture, I hope that answers probably a lot of some of the questions you asked and maybe that you didn't ask. All right, I saw a thumbs up. Let me double check the chat. Is there something in here? Maybe Tabs, I see you've written something in the chat. Do you want to just come off and speak to that a little bit regarding the team size?
Yeah, sure. It's a longer conversation, but essentially in the sort of conventional startup world, there's sometimes this archetypal startup team of the CEO, the market-facing person, and the CTO, the technical-facing person. And from what I can understand, the reason why they're suggesting that is because that's then the cleanest cap table that you can have when you get to the point of investors coming on board. And it's not at all based on how living systems actually work, where you need a diversity of capacities, multiple perspectives looking into a given phenomenon. And that's what we're firmly rooted in. So that's why we're not really paying attention to the conventional. And we're forecasting for about a team size of 5, because once it gets above that size, it starts to get to quite high levels of complexity for an early stage organization. And anything below that would also work. 4 to 6 is a happy range. So we just went for 5.
All right, thanks for that clarification. I think that was helpful. I think I saw a hand up, but it's gone down or the person's left. So maybe Are there any other questions? And we will be publishing a more extensive Q&A document. I know sometimes the live answers get like nuanced in the talking, and so we'll have look for that to be posted soon as well for more clarity on some of the questions that you asked today or that have been asked prior to now. All right, well, hello, Laurentine. Welcome.
Thank you,
Do you have
Megan.
a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I just wanted to be sure. I don't know if this has been mentioned already, but yeah, I think I heard something, but I wasn't really clear about it. How about those who are in the French-speaking countries? How is it going to be? Is there going to be a separate, I don't know, follow-up for them? And also, when you talk about a team, yeah, Madam Mercy said, for instance, people from one country representing a team, or could we have many teams from one particular country, or a team? Does a team mean a hub? Like one hub constitute a team, meaning one project, or can we have many projects within a team or a hub?
Yeah, maybe I'll answer the questions in reverse. So, kind of your last question about what's the difference between hub, team, etc. So, hub kind of we're referring to here loosely as like a physical location, a group. So, in Accra, Ghana, for example, we could call all the people that are registering in that location as a hub, and then multiple teams can be forming within that community. So I hope that's clear. And then to the French speaking question, we absolutely are looking into ways to support our French speaking community. Probably not as much, to be honest, with the virtual content, just so that it can be, streamlined as best as possible. But definitely, as we break into the hackathons, there will be some more support available, given the need for probably some translation components in those breakout groups. So it is something that we're thinking about more heavily towards the in-person stuff in particular. And Mercy, I see your hand up, so I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
I do want to add to that. And thanks for that, Megan. So as Megan has rightly said, we are not going to do live translations for these virtual ones, like for the next 3 weeks, and also for the enrollment in terms of into French. However, and that was the reason that we did the open space on Monday, because we want to get a sense from hub leads what kind of additional supports you will need. Because the way that we are structuring this, and maybe it hasn't come out quite clear, especially for the enrollment period, is going to be more like a train the trainer. So for instance, somebody like you, Laurentine, that is bilingual, you attend, and then we can, let's have a side conversation. We have a small budget set aside to bring in our French speakers into this whole process. So the answer is yes, but we want to make it as tailored as possible. Thank you. And I don't know if Tabs wants to add something to that as well. I mean, is there any part of the question that hasn't been answered?
Yeah, there was a subtlety I heard in Florentine's. Sorry, I've missed the name.
Yeah, Laurentine.
Laurentine, my apologies. There was a subtlety, which was the distinction between a team and a project. And the way that I've been thinking about that so far is that the teams are those groups that form through the hackathon. So by the time you get to the end of the hackathon phase, we're counting all of those groups as teams. They're teams of people. The distinction is 2-3 months later, by the time we get to a summit, if those teams have kept working and kept developing themselves as an organization and really developed a lot of code, then it becomes more like a project. So in one word, the distinction is viability. Does that team become a viable project? And is that project going to continue into the future? Which is maybe a little bit unnecessary to be so specific in that way, but yeah, I just wanted to offer that.
Yeah, so Taps, what you are saying is that, say, within a hub, like within, let's say, Laurentine's hub that is in Burkina Faso, it is possible that she could have about 3, 4, 5 viable teams. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes, definitely. A hub can have multiple teams. In every hackathon, multiple teams will form probably, and then after a few months, some people might drop off and some turn into really well-developed projects. And at that point, you're like, these are actual projects. They have viability. That's how I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe if I can just jump back to something I heard Echo talking about earlier, is that his team, or maybe it was a bigger picture of who was talking about this, but had a couple of different ideas of potential projects. And through the process, they honed in on one of those to develop further. So I think that project is more of like what phase you're in, because there's a lot of projects. When you're first entering the hackathon, you have a lot of ideas of which direction you could take things in. And part of the enrollment period is really settling on kind of the problems that you're looking to solve. And so at that point, there might be like even more projects than teams, right? Because there's a lot of ideas circulating. So I don't think it is necessary to like kind of differentiate that at this time, but it's kind of a phase of which projects, each team is taking on. Yeah. But maybe that was already said and I just double talked. Let's go over to who's hiding behind Unified Cardano. Did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to get something clear here, right? Is it that there's going to be a specific hub from a particular region, or a region can have more than one hub?
Well, I mean, maybe the way I'm thinking about it is a hub is just kind of the location of everyone who's coming together in that area. So I don't see multiple hubs in one location. Why shouldn't they just work together as kind of one hub? And then it's in the teams that you're establishing distinct teams to deliver kind of results. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I'm going to add very briefly to that. That is a good point in terms of less tighten resources. What I'm also seeing is, let's say, a place like Lagos, right, where they have millions. No, not millions, but who knows? The population is quite dense. Let's think of this as emergent. Let's not tie ourselves up too much. I think that as we do the enrollment course and we see what kind of hubs are forming, if it makes more sense to have, say, 2 hubs within a city, I think that we can, work with that. So the answer is not a complete yes or a complete no at this point. We will, let's co-design this and let's be very emergent about this. And let's do it in a way that makes sense and works best for those on the ground and also for the overall intent of the project.
Yeah, that's a good addition. Thanks, Mercy. Abdul Rahman, I keep seeing your hand going up, and then when I'm ready to call on you, you've disappeared. So, do you still have a question?
No, apologies. I think Mercy has answered I just want to make a contribution to the ask of Unified Cardano Student Club. Yeah, I think it's from the point of what I was talking about the other time, that there are entities like there are tech ops and there are tech communities in Nigeria that have reached out to sort of come together and have this participation going on. But the question is, what do we stand to gain? Do you understand the point? So what do we stand to gain in our case? So instead, probably they can form their own or given the fact that we have already existing hub network. So I think that's the question and what I actually wanted to contribute to that.
I think Mercy said it well. As we see a need for multiple, and maybe, your case is a bit unique. I think it's something probably we need to think about more explicitly, how we can draw like a hard line there, for more clarity. But I would say, that only becomes relevant in a few months, right? At this point, it's not an issue as far as any delineation of hubs because we're all participating in this virtual space. But that's good to kind of be thinking about, and we'll put our heads together on that.
Yeah, what I will say at this point, and maybe others can add to, is that the sooner you register yourselves and your hubs, the sooner we can start moving towards the in-person hackathons, right? The qualifying hackathons. Please do that. Participate in the course, participate in the enrollment, ask questions, send us emails and so on. And let's figure out how to get as many hubs as possible. As Tab said, we are trying to be quite realistic in terms of when is our deadline, because one of the clear feedback that we are getting at this point is that people or hub leads and project leads need more time to prep for their hackathons, right? So as much as possible, please make sure that you're looking at the deadlines and you are working towards those deadlines. Tabs, anything to add? Because I think you said it earlier, but you can add to it, please.
I would just ask if it's relevant and timely to share the page on what is a hub that we wrote. It might be a helpful resource for people to review and kind of sit with these questions and reflect on that.
Sure. Are you going to share a screen? Should I put this down, or do you want to share in the chat?
It's all right. I just put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, maybe if I can just, quick note on time, we are, kind of wrapping up for our time. So maybe what I'll say in the broad sense, this was our first call. We'll be meeting again next week, same time, next week on Thursday. There will be follow-up materials sent out after this call. I think, the link Tabs just shared is probably what we could include on the Q&A, FAQ, paper that we're coming out. And then anything that's still left unresolved, like let's plan to be here together next week to hopefully address some of these lingering things up in the air. But I do see Christian has had his hand up. So I would like to welcome you for our final question before we close out. If you're able to unmute. Oh, did we lose him? Anyone hearing?
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Megan and that of Sis Mercy. I'm Christian Kojo Wesley from William V. Stodman University, Maryland County, Liberia. So for the past time, I've been following the process of WADA and that of the Cardano blockchain, but specifically when it comes to Liberia, I don't think Liberia has a hub. So what will become of teams that will be leaving Liberia, more especially from the university campus? Thanks.
Okay, this is Sorry, did you finish? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yes, I'm done.
Yeah, I think maybe the use of the word hub, could be confusing. Obviously we have pre-established WADA hubs. That is, a part of the WADA network. But the whole thing we're hoping to open up with this hackathon is the potential for new hubs. So there might not be an existing WADA hub in your area, but if you have, you as an individual have access to a network of people, you could generate a lot of signups from your side and kind of establish yourself as a hub for the purposes of this hackathon. Does that answer your question? So what you sort of have said to introduce yourself to me sounds like you have a hub. It's just not yet a WADA hub. Maybe it could evolve into that someday, but it is a vast network of resources for kind of participants in this hackathon that could lead to teams, could lead to projects, et cetera. I hope that answered your question.
Sure. Thanks.
And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I did mention that would be our last question, but I see there's another hand that popped up. Shall I give you a minute?
All right, thank you, madam.
Sorry, Megan. I wanted to ask a question of the person calling from Liberia. Which university is he, and which town or city is he connecting to us from?
I'm from Maryland, come to the William V. Stockman University.
Okay. There's contacts that we can link you to in terms of Liberia. We have our feet on the ground, and then I will share my email with you in the chat. Just link up and let's see how we can take on from there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. My
so what's that tool? We also have Dr. Malik. Dr. Malik Kun is also here and is helping us in the process as well.
Yeah. Contacts that we have from the Harper University and other places as well. So let's connect and we'll take it from there, okay?
Yeah, maybe as we're hearing for our last question, we could just pull up the final slide here so people have that on their screens. But go ahead. And I didn't catch your name, sorry. Who is it from the Unified Cardano Student Group?
Yeah, this Musa. Yeah, this Musa, the national president of Unified Cardano Student Club. Yeah, it's just actually a suggestion from mine, and I think it would be better if maybe Madam FL from WADA can just create a regional hub or a regional hub or national hub for every region, right? And everybody will now fall, every country will now fall under the category of its nation hub, right? I think that would be more better so that people don't find it difficult, confusing. Because when you talk about hub, people are like trying to it's kind of confusing people. Like when you say hub, it's something something broad, something special to people. So when you now if you should say we have a region a national hub now, so if you're from this country, you fall into that. I think it will be more easier for everybody to grab that explanation. I don't know if it's actually okay.
Yeah, maybe the good.
Sorry, Megan.
Oh, you wanted to jump in and answer?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think maybe some clear slides pulling together what Tab's shared and what has been said here, because I think a lot of us are saying the same things, but maybe we need a bit more clarity on this. And
I want to help you with that, Megan. I think what you're asking is that, let me see, there is WADA Hub network in Nigeria. So if anybody is participating from Nigeria at the end of the individual registrations, there will be team formation registration. So for every single person that is participating from Nigeria, so they automatically fall under the Wada network in Nigeria, which is Next Trend Up. So I think that clarifies your question.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sure. And one thing I think, just to add to this, one thing to speak to,
Recognize of
like Christian's point, for example, is we don't want to be excluding people in regions that don't have WADA hub networks. So it's kind of like finding the balance between those 2 points that you're bringing up. So yeah, it's kind of like a yes. And how do we include others? Because one of our goals in this, obviously, WADA is leading this kind of whole process, but we also don't want it to be confined to only WADA to participate. We want this to be a way of onboarding more people, potentially expanding our network, but we don't need to take ownership of that. We don't need to like put WADA stamps on everything. Just that we're hoping to give access to this to like a much broader user base. So it's good feedback. And like I said, let's maybe start next week with a bit more clarity on that hopefully brings up everything that's been said here. But I know, we have been on here for about an hour and a half now. It's been, quite exciting to hear the questions. I think it's people are getting excited about starting this process. But let's just close with, our final announcement. Next slide. Is there a slide here? Oh. Okay, what was the announcement? It's just the signups, right?
Yeah, it's the signups and the fact that please sign up early, please engage. Pretty much what I said before. And to reiterate everything that Megan just said, like WADA wants to be in the background as much as possible, right? Not to own this because we are not funding it. It's the Cardano community that is funding it. So we want to bring as many communities in Cardano working in Africa. I've lost my words. Like no barriers,
no exclusion.
right? Yeah. We want to bring in as many as possible. So, that is maybe all for now. Please, next week, if you can, drop by here or on X or look out for the FAQ document that Megan mentioned, and also please, look out for emails. I believe that there is also a Telegram group that is being formed. Some of you have joined, so thank you very much for that. It's going to be activated very soon. So please lock in. Let's lock in. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Tabs. Thank you, everyone. The call as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and everyone should have been required to register, for this space, but also hopefully register for the hackathon. So there will be an email we'll send out with a follow-up, including even, the Telegram group that was mentioned. So look out for that. And thanks for being here. See you all next week.